Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining our webinar on viewing the latest feature releases for Sage Intacct. My name is Ali Pakalnis, and I will help facilitate our webinar today. Before we get started, here are a few tips on using the Zoom platform so you can engage with our presenters and have the best experience possible. You should see a Zoom toolbar with icons for Ask a Question and Raise Your Hand. Please use the Ask a Question feature to submit a question or comment. If you need any assistance, click on the Raise Your Hand button and I will connect with you to help. We encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation, and we will do our best to answer them all. If we didn't answer your question, we will follow up with you personally after the presentation. Within 72 hours of the webinar, you will receive a link to download the slide deck and recorded presentation. Today's webinar does qualify for CPE credits. To receive your credits, you must actively respond to 3 out of the 5 polling questions and stay on for the duration of the webinar. If you have any difficulty answering the polling questions, please email elevatelearn@armaninollp.com with questions. And with that, I'd like to introduce you to our presenters, Todd Bowlesby and Jen Bowman.
Hey guys, Todd Bowlesby here. I'm a senior manager in our technology consulting practice, and I'll be your co-host today. Jen?
Hi, Jen Bowman, Solution Architect in the Sage Intacct group here at Armanino. I'm looking forward to co-hosting with Todd.
And then we'll have Jeremy Anderson and Sean DeMuro on the back burner, if you will, helping us answer all those questions you guys are just going to start throwing into the chat. All right, today's learning objectives: identify the latest release feature of your solution, demonstrate the new user experience and navigation to ease adoption, and finally manage the latest release of the solution to promote productivity. And then again, this is, you can get CPE credit. And moving on to the agenda, we're going to go over all these lovely areas of Sage Intacct: company administration, AP, AR, cash management, consolidation, construction, contracts, Sage fixed assets management, GL, inventory control and supplies inventory, order entry, purchasing, revenue management, tax, time and expense. Some new stuff: Sage Intacct and Conso, EMR Connect, Sage Intacct forms and operational workflows, Sage Intacct Ministry Intelligence, platform services, customizations, and extensions. And finally, we'll end with the user interface. Jen, take it away.
All right. So now we have enhanced email delivery and insights. So you can start using the new email delivery service. You need to authenticate your domain and enter your DNS keys. To the right there, it shows you where to go in company, set up a company to make these changes. And this supports multiple domains. So for example, if you authenticate domain.com, then you would be able to send authenticated emails right from Sage Intacct from your subdomains, such as billingdomain.com or invoice.domain.com. And then fiscal year rollover for document sequences. If your company has a legal requirement to number transactions using a sequence that includes the fiscal year, you can accomplish that now with document numbering sequences. You can create the document numbering sequences in the company application and then assign them to the accounting sequences in the general ledger. The fiscal year rollover feature is not available by default. To enable this, please reach out to your designated support user within your organization, and then have that person open a support ticket. This feature is supported for contracts, fixed asset management, and general ledger.
Okay.
Now for a demo.
Woo-hoo, quick demo here. All right, so let's go over here. And our first demo is actually going to be usage insights. We're going to talk about that coming up here. But they have included new usage insights here. So it's a new place you can go into off of the company menu. I just used a favorite there as a shortcut. And it will show you, give you an overview of kind of an overview dashboard, if you will, showing kind of active customers, vendors, your subscriptions, add-ons, active locations, user count, things like that. And then you can delve into the details below that. So looking at active customers, new customers this year-over-year growth, comparison, you can see a map of where they're located at. Pretty cool stuff from that perspective. Same with your vendors. And then finally, your API usage. This is pretty cool for those of you that have things like AP, automated AP bill automation, anything that's utilizing the UIs and the API, maybe with a third-party marketplace partner solution or a custom integration if you've had that built. So you can see exactly how many applications you got using the APIs, the total API transactions, the ones that completed, failed, the dates, and the transaction by function there. Okay, let me jump back over here. And now I jump into our first polling question as well. The fiscal year rollover for document sequences feature is now available for contracts, fixed asset management, and general ledger. Is that true or false? Oh, look at that. Most people got that correct with the answer that that is absolutely true. It is available for contracts, fixed asset management, and general ledger. All right, moving on to accounts payable. Announcing AP bill automation for all regions. I think you guys know, I'm not going to read through these slides because we've talked about AP bill automation for a while now. Most of you probably know what AP bill automation is. Allowing you, similar to like you would with like a third party like Bill or Stamply or AvidXchange, you can have your vendors email in an invoice, and then Sage's AI will take over, code it for you, put it into a draft for you, and then a human can come along and make sure it looks good, that sort of stuff. This is just announcing that because originally it was just available, I believe, in the North America, US and Canada, and now it's available in all regions for everyone to use. Restricted users can void top-level payments. So entity restricted users who have top-level access can now void transactions that they create at the top level, provided they have the appropriate permissions. So users with entity restrictions can run the check register report without providing a location filter. As a result, top-level transactions with line items within the user's restrictions are included in the check register report and are available to be voided. Previously, entity restricted users were required to select a location when running the check register report. And the filtered transactions to show only those created at the entity level. Payments that the user created at the top level were not included, so the user could not void them. So that's been adjusted, if you will. Unapplied credits and posted payments. Improve workflow efficiency by unapplying credits from posted payments when the credits are applied without an associated payment. You can unapply credits of all types, including the following: advances, debit memo adjustments, aka vendor credits, negative bills, negative line items applied from one bill to another. After you unapply a credit, the credit is available to apply to other bills. Here's where it's showing we can unapply credits quickly. It's showing the screen here where you can see that there's the unapply area there. You click that, comes up to, pulls up the void payment date. So it gives you the ability to put in the appropriate payment there. And here's where it shows, credits applied. Post payment detail page now includes a new credits applied tab that shows information about all credits included in a payment. Select the credit number to drill down further. So some considerations related to this: users with posted payments, void permissions can apply unapplied credits. If payments were made against a bill either before or after you applied a credit, you can still unapply the credit as long as you did not apply the payments simultaneously. Credits that you apply simultaneously for the same vendor and payment date are grouped in a single entry in posted payments. You can view the details of all the credits in the Credits Applied tab. When you select and apply for a payment entry, all credits included in that entry are unapplied. To reverse an unapplied credit, you must first unapply the credit on posted payments. Then you can reverse it in AP adjustments. Credit-only payments do not trigger automatic payment notifications, and the email payment notice option is not available. If you need to provide a vendor with information about the credit amounts you applied, select print copy on posted payments to generate a PDF. When you import a paid or partially paid bill as a historical transaction, Sage Intacct creates a historical debit memo adjustment for the paid portion of the imported bill. With this change, posted payments also shows a 0 amount entry for the historical debit memo adjustment. Other news in the AP world, user restrictions enforced for payment approvals. Restricted users can no longer approve or decline payments that contain line items coded to departments and locations for which they do not have access. They can approve or decline a payment only when all line items for a payment are for departments or locations to which they have access. The new behavior matches existing behavior for bill approvals, where restricted users can only approve or decline a bill when all line items are for their restricted entities. I believe that was announced during R2, the last release. Accounts payable, void payment from the posted payments page. So to save time, you can void by voiding posted payments directly. You can save time by voiding posted payments directly. Let's save it 3 times fast. Come on. From the posted payments page. That's a lot of P's, I'm telling you. Previously, the method you used to void a payment depended on the payment method. That might require voiding the payment from the check, bank, or credit card registry report or from manual payments. Now, the void link is conveniently available on the posted payments page, where you typically view the completed payments. No cash management permissions are required to void the payment. So you can see here, void payments link right there, and that brings up the void payment date screen, and then you can go on from there. Vendor payments for American Express is being retired. I think we've announced this a couple times, but just so you're completely familiar, on December 31st, 2024, in other words, at the end of this year, the following American Express payment services will no longer be available in Sage Intacct. Sage Intacct Check Delivery Service, American Express ACH Payment Service, American Express Card Payment Service. Make sure to process all payments by December 20, not December 31st, but December 20, to avoid any potential issues. And then if you're looking for alternatives, please reach out to your partner, account manager, and we can help you out with that for sure. All right, Jen, over to you on AR.
Okay. This idea came from you. So just another reminder to please stay active in the community and do suggest, different, improvements as they come up. Then people can vote on them. And Intacct does take that very seriously when they create their roadmap. So now you can customize your discount when you're receiving an AR payment. So sometimes you might need to edit a discount on the fly. You received a payment, the amount does not match the terms that you've set. You can now configure AR for custom discounts, allowing you to edit the discount at the time that you receive the payment. So this will allow you to handle situations such as, remittance includes a rounding error, the customer missed the grace period, the customer may have taken a smaller or larger discount than the terms allow, or multiple payments were sent for a single invoice, meaning there really is no single full payment against which to apply the term discount. The solution is not supported with the taxes module. And we're going to move on to cash management. So view all unmatched transactions immediately during reconciliation. So below is the screen. So when you go to cash management, all reconcile, you select your bank or your credit card account. Now, when you go into the reconciliation screen, the unmatched transactions will be the default view, and they'll appear in list form, allowing you to start engaging in that matching process. Then Bank Transaction Assistant file import enhancements. So there's a couple new types of file types, BAI2 and KMT.053, that are now supported. And the process for uploading files is more streamlined. So this import experience does take the place of the classic import experience. You can use one method or the other one, but not both at the same time. So you can continue to use the classic import experience for any in-process reconciliations. Enablement instructions are in the release notes. This experience does work with the new Bank Transaction Assistant functionality. I think we talked about that in the last release as well. Restrict access to reconciliation information by enforcing user restrictions. So some additional user restriction enhancements have been released for top level users that can now be restricted to viewing bank rec information for an account based on their entity location restrictions. So for example, if a top level user is restricted to entities 100 and 200, they will not be able to review reconciliation information for accounts that have a location of 300. And then below are instructions on how to enable that in the cash management setup configuration screen.
Excellent. So speaking of that cash management enhancement, so we go into bank reconciliation. I'm talking about the view all. So when you used to go into bank reconciliation like I'm doing now, and I'm going to hit continue, right here you see that transaction type. So it was unmatched before, but it was always the default was checks and debits. I don't know about you, but that drove me crazy. So now it's all. Actually, it took me a while to even figure out that all it was showing me was one. And that is not only on the Intacct tab, but if you do have a bank feed, it's going to show up on the bank side as well as unmatched all. So that's a welcome improvement for sure. Oops. Let's go jumping back over here. There we go. All right, polling question number 2. Within the new receive payments feature, you may dynamically adjust the discount as you receive payment, allowing you to more easily handle situations such as the following. Remittance includes a rounding error, customer missed the grace period, customer took a smaller or larger discount than terms allow, or all of the above. It looks like this is a multi-select. Nice. Vast majority of you got it. It is all of the above. Not that the other 3 areas weren't correct. They were too as well. Okay, moving on to consolidation. Delete book data in the background and get on with your work. Oof, who doesn't want to get on with their work? Sage Intacct streamlined the deletion process for consolidation books. You can request a book deletion and get on with your day. Sage Intacct handles the deletion request in the background while you can navigate away from the page and continue doing your work. And basically, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. When you request a deletion of a consolidation book, then they put it into a queue, and it's based on first in, first out basis. But then the nice thing is you don't have to sit there. Your screen isn't locked up. You can move on with your day and start working on other things. And then you're going to get a notification when it's done deleting that for you. And that's it for consolidation. Moving on to construction. Now this is big news. New construction manager user type. So there's a new user they created just for construction. Use the new construction manager user type to give construction project managers access to Sage Intacct Construction. You can also set up construction managers with full access to Sage Construction Management, which is an additional application. It's not to be confused with Sage Intacct Construction. Regional support for construction is limited to the United States, Canada, and Australia. The new construction manager user type is intended for construction subscriptions only. This is big news if you're on the construction front, and that is you can now pay your two-party construction bills with the new joint checks payment method. Woohoo! I know for a long time there's been a workaround. In my line of business, workaround is the longest four-letter word in my line of business. So this is awesome news. You can now use the new joint check payment method to pay your downstream two-party construction vendors. Construction companies can use multiple subcontractors to complete some or all of their project. On occasion, those subcontractors can hire another company to complete their contracted work on a project. To avoid unexpected liens against their project or unpaid secondary and tertiary vendors, companies create joint checks to pay their downstream subcontractors. With the new joint check payment method for construction subscriptions, contractors can now easily create and track joint checks for one or more joint payees on an AP bill without using a complicated workaround. There's that four-letter word I was talking about. You can now allocate the AP bill to joint payees by selecting the joint payee at the bill level using the payee details to add the amount, or use the payee line details link on each AP bill entry line to allocate the pay amount for the joint payee. And so here's what it looks like. There's where we got the joint check as the payment method and the pay bills screen. And on the bill itself, you've got a new tab now. It's going to say joint payees and show you the joint payees related to that. So that's big news number one in construction. But big news number two is the work in process, or the WIP management, is now generally available. I will tell you this. Don't all of you run, because I know you're already headed there. You're all running out for the door into your Sage Intacct instance to turn the, go check this out. You got to turn it on in your roles first, the permissions, because Sage Intacct, they have a negative permissions view. So basically people don't get things by default. They do not get them by default. So if you can't see this feature, then it's just because you got to update, assuming you have this construction subscription, you have to update your role. So use WIP schedules to track overbilling and underbilling and show the predicted profit at the end of your project. WIP schedules are useful for project managers, controllers, CFOs, and anyone monitoring the profitability of ongoing projects. CFOs and project managers can use the interactive tool to enter their own project cost and revenue forecasts to go along with data pulled from Sage Intacct Construction. Values are pulled from projects, estimates, project contracts, job-to-date costs from the general ledger, and job-to-date billings from the general ledger. Each WIP schedule covers a specific period. The WIP schedule periods are determined by the reporting periods you've already established for your entity or entities. Each row in the WIP projects section represents an ongoing project. Each column contains information for that project and the WIP schedule. So sorry, that's the end of that guy. But actually, don't worry, I'm actually going to demo this coming up here in a moment. Convert multiple documents into a single purchasing transaction. You can convert multiple documents, including lines of documents, into a single purchasing transaction so that you can create a transaction to pay a vendor in one payment. When the vendor charges their work for multiple projects in one bill, you can create a single purchasing transaction that includes multiple documents that you want to convert to replicate the bill. This allows you to track payments easily, and you'll see right here, and I'm actually going to demo this as well. There's a convert from an existing transaction, and then you can choose multiple POs there. I'm going to show this, so I'm not going to read through this slide too much. By the way, you guys will all get this deck at the end, so you can read through this at your leisure. But basically, this can be done on any purchasing transaction, whether it's a PR, a PO, a receipt, a vendor invoice adjustment itself, a vendor invoice or adjustment. And again, I'll be showing this in more detail coming up here. Yep. This is just saying an admin must select the enable conversions for multiple source documents checkbox on the configure purchasing page. Again, if that's not showing up for you, you have to go in and check that off for you. Documents must have the same vendor. Documents must be included in the same transaction definition. And for example, your vendors, and then they give an example. And I think you guys can probably think of many examples. Basically, the example they're giving here is, vendor sends for multiple projects in a single bill. You've got multiple POs out there across, for each project, you can then convert those all into a single invoice so that it matches the bill. For those of anybody using Sage field operations, there's some enhancements. It syncs seamlessly with Sage Intacct, whether you're in the office or in the field. Office staff have to-the-minute information for scheduling, and the mobile app provides your team in the field with critical information that they need when they need it. Sage Intacct recently made Sage field operations even better with enhancements for the office. If your company uses inventory control, SFO users can now use serialized inventory. If you use Fortis payments, SFO enhancements help you settle your invoices more promptly and ensure that union payroll is processed accurately in compliance with union requirements. Union, local, and class details associated with employee labor are now captured and seamlessly integrated with Sage Intacct time and expenses. I mentioned Sage Construction Management, which is a separate application from Sage Intacct Construction, and it dovetails into it. By the way, we're having, for those construction folks, next week, we're having a Sage Intacct Construction, or anybody that's interested, a Sage Intacct Construction webinar. And then September, we're having one on Sage Construction Management. So we'll talk more in detail about that sort of stuff. But Sage Construction Management, that's all-in-one cloud solution that provides a complete set of project management features. This solution aligns your operations and finance data so you can secure more business wins and execute projects with greater efficiency. In this release, Sage has made several enhancements to Sage Construction Management. So one, they've upgraded the storage to 1 terabyte at no additional cost. Another one, they've improved filtering for user projects and leads. Another one is improved submittal of item dates. And then there's other enhancements like new posting preferences, company code, using the company code, and then the Sage Intacct connection information has been moved to the top left. So just some minor improvements there. And then another big announcement in construction, announcing Sage Intacct paperless. So you can improve and modernize your paper-heavy accounts payable document workflow. Sage Intacct paperless is an intelligent, automated solution that lets you capture, index, route, and store documents in one secure place. So you can automatically identify and upload emailed invoices to the processor's queue, process invoices, purchase orders, and other supporting documents at the point of receipt, get immediate access to all job, budget, PO, and subcontract worksheets, capture, upload, and import any document from any location. You can use three-way matching to automatically match purchasing and receiving documents to the invoice, define document types and indexes, look up and backfill index values from external database. And then you can set up routing rules to automatically deliver invoices to your team for review, collaboration, and approval. Automatically send approved invoices to accounts payable with links to all documents related to the invoice. Control user permissions for a customized workflow. Bypass process bottlenecks with automated workflows. And then as far as store and retrieve data, easily find invoices and supporting documents using document type, job number, or any detail information saved with the document. Securely store documents, keeping even your most sensitive documents safe. Eliminate the cost and risk of storing paper documents. Track documents from conception to payment. Great for audit, tax, and legal requests. And so let's jump over to another fun-filled demo portion here. Let's see, so we're going to go over here. And actually, I'm going to start with the purchasing. Let me go back over here. Sorry to jump around on you. I want to be over here. All right, so if I come into purchasing and I start a new purchasing document, so I got an invoice from my vendor and it spans multiple POs. In other words, I can come in here, grab my vendor, in this case, Beaverton Sand and Gravel. And then this is the link that they were showing in the screenshot there, convert from an existing transaction. So I can pull up this. Oh, goodness gracious, I'm at the wrong level. Sorry about that. Jump back over here. Good news is it's just a couple clicks. All right, where were we? Beaverton Sand and Gravel, click the existing. And now we can see, for example, these two guys, I can link to this. These guys have already been converted. And so I can select this guy. And then I can jump back in here and select this guy. Now, my pet peeve here, my only gripe, if you will, is this should be a multi-select here, so I don't have to keep coming back and click on that and coming back in here. So let's all go out into the community and suggest that, as Jen was talking about, and then upvote each other's suggestion. So, but I can, it does accomplish the same features, just not as fluid as I'd like to see. So you can see here on this invoice that I've got, purchase order 7 and purchase order 9 here. And then, I can continue along my merry way there. Okay. And then WIP management. So first of all, if we go into the jobs configuration or the project configuration screen, we scroll down all the way to the end. This is where you're going to set up the work in process, the new WIP management tool, and select the cost accounts, revenue accounts, the cost in excess of billing, so your under billing account, and the billings in excess of cost, your over billing account, your offset account, and then your posting journal. Once you've made those setups and you're set up there, and of course, like I mentioned, turned on the appropriate user permissions, then you can go into the WIP project settings here, which is an area where you can then decide whether, each line. So if I, grab like 3 of these guys here, I can say include on its own line. So you can have each project be its own line, or part of a root project, or part of another project. So part of the root project is basically what that's saying is you can, your projects may be set up in a parent-child relationship, where you have the root or the parent project, and then you've got sub-projects off of that, maybe change orders or other things. So you can include those so that they you can leverage all those in the WIP management tool. And then as far as the WIP management tool, basically you're going to come into this screen, click the create button here, and then per entity. So I can choose, my entity, and then I can choose the period that I'm creating this WIP schedule for. So you do that, and then you can see I've already created 2 here. So looking at the November one here, if I click on this little ellipses here and go over to edit, this is showing you, those projects, and any errors or warnings will show up here. And you've got your estimated cost to date, total contract value, CFO forecast cost at completion, CFO forecast contract value, job to date cost, job to date billings, CFO forecast percent complete, earned to date, year to date billed, year to date earned, year to date overbilling, year to date underbilling. And if I scroll over here, we can see any comments and whether this is finalized or not. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. First, I want to show you there's actually more fields underneath the window shade here. So we can see the customer, estimated cost at completion, pending estimates, and the like. And this is where, so we had the CFO forecast over here, and just like you're probably used to in standard Sage Intacct transaction entry grids, like AP Bill or something like that, you can adjust the grid if you want to, and move data up into the single line there. So if you want to move the PM entries up into here, but you can see we've got the PM entries. So the theory here being the project manager can come in here and put in their entries. The CFO can put in their entries, and then things down here, the system's calculating these and giving you, things like cost of completion variance, amount variance, contract amount variance, remaining backlog, and the like. Right. And the whole kind of concept here is, once you finalize, then, well, first, before I do that, you can select these, and then you can do things like clear CFO values, clear project manager values, update CFO values with CFO prior WIP values, update PM values with prior WIP values, and unfinalized. And they give you some of these kind of big buttons up here to do some quick stuff there. But if I come in here and I say, cool, let's finalize this. So now all these guys are going to be marked as finalized over here. You can always manually come over here and do it as well. Then when you go, before you post this, you can go to, I want to see what that's going to look like. And it's actually going to generate a preview of your WIP posting. And we can see that this is set up for auto reverse. That is also a setting in the configuration. When it reverses, does it reverse at the first of the month? Does it reverse at the end of the next month? But then you would just hit the post button from here. Okay. Moving on to contracts, hold and resume schedules in bulk and more. So Sage Intacct is thrilled to announce updates to the Manage Schedules page. Sage Intacct added new bulk actions so you can manage your contracts from a centralized view. Sage Intacct also revamped the user interface to improve your experience. So you can hold and resume schedules in bulk. So they add the ability to hold and resume schedules from the Manage Schedules page. So now you can manually hold or resume billing, revenue, and expense schedules in bulk across multiple contracts, eliminating the need to access each contract individually. When you hold or resume contract line schedules, Sage Intacct creates a bulk action run record and runs the process offline. And this is what that guy looks like here. When you're in the manage schedules area, you can now do this in bulk. They also announced that they created a dimension-only contract. So they added an option to create a simplified non-posting version of a contract for reporting purposes only. These dimension-only contracts can be tagged to transactions and reported on in the same way as any other dimension. So I mean, basically what it comes down to is there's no, there's a contract record behind it certainly, but it's not like it's a non-posting record. It's not going to have a billing template associated with it. It's not going to have, a RevRec template associated with it. It's basically in case you just want to tag other transactions against that and do reporting only against that. I don't know, kind of non-contract contract, if you will. So company listed subscription to contracts have the option to create either a fully functioning contract or what I just explained is a dimension-only contract. A new field called contract tracking is now available on contracts, allowing you to choose the type of contract to create. Dimension-only contracts appear alongside full contracts and contract dimension dropdowns across Sage Intacct. Fixed assets management. There's new reports for Sage Fixed Assets Management. This is the new module that came out, not to be confused with the old or current, or well, it's old now, I guess, that this came out. It's called, which was called Fixed Assets, which we now call SIG Fixed Assets. Used to be a third party that they bought, so on and so forth. I digress. So they've added 3 new reports: fixed assets, net book value, fixed assets by employee, and fixed assets by location. I don't think we need to go into further detail. They just created new reports for you. And they tell you what, the fixed assets net book value displays a total net book value of assets in each asset classification after accounting for asset cost, accumulated depreciation, and disposal values. It also shows the sum total net book value of your assets. And there's an example. The fixed assets by employee is just like it sounds. They're grouped by employee as well as the by location. Other updates in fixed assets management, they added links to new fields, allowing you to access more information within the fixed assets management application. On the assets list and view assets page, there's a source field. It's now a link. Selecting the value opens the associated AP bill in a pop-up. On the post depreciation and view depreciation schedules pages, the GL batch IDs are now links. Selecting one opens the associated journal entry in a pop-up. And then additionally, Sage Intacct added the journal posting rule ID field to the depreciation rules section on the view asset and view classification pages. And this change means you no longer need to go to the configuration to find this information. Custom fields are supported for AP and purchasing integration. So custom fields values on AP bills are now copied over to the assets created from those bills, provided the ID of the custom fields on the bill and the asset match. Previously, custom field values were not copied to the asset. This also applies to assets created from purchasing transactions. And then there's some permissions updates. Employee users can no longer edit or dispose of assets, and CRM users can no longer have any fixed asset management permissions. Polling question number 3. The new Sage Fixed Assets Management module now comes with new standard reports, including which of the following? This is easy, guys. Come on, you should get this. Fixed assets, net book value, fixed assets by employee, fixed assets by location, or the wonderful all of the above selection. Awesome. Virtually all of you got it. It is all of the above, all three of those: net book value, assets by employee, assets by location, have been released in Sage Fixed Assets Management. All right. I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of hearing me talk. Jen, over to you.
Grab a drink of water. Great job, Todd. So far, so good. All right. In the world of the general ledger, we can now quickly delete unneeded reporting periods. This is that sort of that bulk delete action we were talking about that we would love to have throughout the whole, Intacct environment. But in reporting periods, if you don't need, a specific or a few reporting periods, you can simply check them and then bulk delete with the delete button at the top there. So you can save time by selecting multiple reporting periods and then deleting them all at once. Please note that you can't delete a reporting period if transactions have been posted for the period or if the budget data exists for that period. And then in other news, easy access to Sage Intacct planning. So directly from your Sage Intacct environment, you can toggle to or open the Sage Intacct planning environment if you are subscribed to Sage Intacct planning right from the budget planning page that's located in the budgets module.
Oof, polling questions are coming fast and furious. Users may delete unneeded periods by selecting multiple reporting periods and deleting them, even if transactions have been posted or if budget data exists for the period. Is that true or false? I always want the Jeopardy music to play when these are playing. It's playing in my head. Is it playing in any of your guys' heads? Most of you got that right. It's false. The trick there was that last piece, even if transactions have been posted or if budget data exists, that is not true. If transactions have been posted or if budget data exists, you cannot bulk delete them. Over to you, Jen.
Moving on to inventory control and supplies inventory. This is an early adopter program as part of the supplies workbench rollout that was introduced in the last release. It provides a convenient way to manage employee requests for supplies inventory items. So now the capabilities are expanding and they've added replenishment capabilities. So the supplies manager can now generate a report on all incoming supply requests, evaluate those reorder needs, and quickly replenish the most needed items. So the supplies manager can review the incoming requests in the supplies workbench to continuously meet the demand for employee requests, including generating a report on the most needed items, sorting requests by item to conveniently order similar items from the same vendor, issue items directly from available inventory, create a PO if an item is not available internally, and create a direct shipment purchase from a preferred vendor to the employee. And then enhanced reporting options, the transactions posting to the GL and the inventory valuation reports, the creation date column in each report provides insights into any transactions which were backdated, reflecting a different date from the transaction's document date. Then for the running average cost report, the unmatched column helps you identify transactions that don't have a match, such as the incoming transaction to increase quantity without a corresponding value. If there is no corresponding match, the unmatched column displays yes. And then barcodes added in the Sage Intacct inventory automation, otherwise known as SIIA. So if you do have SIIA, you can make inventory tasks faster and easier by including barcodes on inventory forms. For example, including it on the PO lets you use it as a receiver document, and then including it on the picking sheet can speed up the sales order picking process.
Awesome. Order entry. Trace original transaction documents. Order entry workflows provide great flexibility with multiple potential transaction entry and exit points. Now you can easily track which transactions started a workflow. A more traceable workflow ensures a greater inventory reconciliation accuracy. Being able to identify the original transaction. And so trace original documents in your sales order workflows ensures that you can identify the original transaction in the workflow, the originating document, refer back to the previous document in the workflow, source document, generate more informative sales transaction reports, and more easily identify and report on reconciliation issues and take corrective action. And then this, you can view conversion type and recurring sales orders. So in R2, Sage Intacct added the ability or the functionality to help you monitor billing against standing sales orders. Going one step further, the sales order workflow now allows you to easily keep track of the remaining balance in recurring scheduled sales order transactions. So if your order entry application is configured to allow conversion by price, you can now view the default conversion type in your recurring transaction templates. This increased flexibility helps you keep track of remaining contracted quantity or price on recurring order entry transactions. And you can see there it's talking about the conversion type. Moving on to purchasing, automated transaction matching in all regions. It's still an early adopter. This is where the AP automation is automatically matching to the PO. So that for those of you not part of the early adopter program, stay tuned. It's gonna be out hopefully pretty soon. With the automated transaction matching for purchasing workflows, you define how incoming purchasing documents map to existing source transactions in a one-time setup. Then instead of converting purchasing transaction to vendor invoices, you let Sage Intacct match incoming vendor invoices using the following flow. You email or upload vendor invoice documents for automated processing. Sage Intacct uses artificial intelligence to detect the vendor and match the vendor invoice to a purchasing transaction. The system creates a draft vendor invoice for you with the source document attached. You review the transaction, the draft transaction, validating it against the vendor invoice and making corrections as necessary, and then post. Your corrections are fed back to the AI engine where it updates the machine learning model to improve future matches. And this is a look at what that looks like. Again, you'll get these slides so you can look at that in more detail later on. Enhancements to automated transaction matching. Remove the matched PO document. You can now remove the matched document for automated purchasing transactions. This is useful when you need to process a vendor invoice but do not have a PO to match. Select Remove to unlink the matched document. And now you can see all automated transactions in one place. You'll now see all automated transactions for accounts payable and purchasing in one list. Bills that are created with AP automation will appear in both the bills list and the automated transactions list. Support for multiple targets from a single transaction definition. You can now map multiple target transaction definitions to a single source definition in your purchasing configurations. This is useful when the source transaction could be matched to more than one target transaction type. For example, a purchase order could match to a vendor invoice or a receiver document. More options for partial conversion handling. Automated transaction matching now supports all settings for partial conversion handling, including close original and create back order. It didn't before. So with this option, when an automated transaction is matched to a source transaction and the item quantity is less than the original transaction quantity, the system closes the original transaction and creates a new one for the remaining item quantity. This back order is created when you post the automated transaction. And they give you an example scenario there. Trace original transaction documents. So purchasing workflows provide greater flexibility. You can trace workflow, ensures greater inventory. Gosh, this looks similar to what we just saw. Identify the original transaction. Yeah, we talked about that. View, okay. Yeah, we've gone over these slides previously. I'm going to turn it over to you, Jen, for revenue management.
All righty. So this is some additional information about that contract dimension. So just to note that we know order entry does come with the core financials with Sage Intacct. This contract dimension would be included in the revenue management subscription. So that is the RevRec additional add-on subscription module that now will come with a contract dimension. So even in order entry, if you want to tie those lines to a specific customer contract, you may do so as long as you have the order entry revenue management module.
And Jen, that means you don't have to have contracts, but if you have revenue management, you can do that. Is that correct?
Correct. Absolutely. Yep.
Awesome.
And that allows you to report and do that slice and dice reporting across the contract dimension, just like you can do with all the other dimensions.
Beautiful.
Next up is a polling question.
You may now utilize the contract dimension with order entry revenue management, even if you are not subscribed to the contracts module. Is that true or false? I just gave you the answer. Hint, hint. Just want to make sure you guys were fully prepared for this quiz. Hoping to see 100% this time, no pressure. Oh, the answer is true. So you don't have to have contract management. And with order entry, you just have to have revenue management, not contract management, and you'll get the contract dimension. But the contracts module, what I said earlier is they have a new type of contract that allows you to just utilize it as a contract dimension only contract. Good try, guys. Good try.
All right. In the world of tax, some updates and enhancements. So I won't attempt to read that out, but there's a new standard tax solution for Germany. And for France, they've added additional use cases to include purchase and sales from EU and ROW. In the UK, for VAT, clarified changes and how reverse charge is reported. Users are now required to include both input and output tax details for a reverse charge. Without both, that transaction will not be reported in all of the correct boxes. And also in the UK, some other updates to the following reverse charge tax details to calculate the tax for UK PVA import goods standard tax rate input and output, and then for the import goods reduced rate input and output as well. And for Canadian tax solution, you can set up your terms to calculate GST correctly on the discounts that are applied in a transaction. Term discounts can be applied in these transaction types AP, bills and recurring bills, and AR, invoices and recurring invoice, as well as order entry transactions that do post to AR, and then POs that post to accounts payable. The T5018 for Canada is now generally available. And that applies to reporting of payments made to contractors. And the TPAR report for Australia is now generally available as well. So Sage Intacct provides a downloadable file that you can immediately upload to the Australian Tax Authority.
Time and expenses. This is pretty cool. Automate your employee expenses, and it's early adopters phase, but this is another use of AI that they're incorporating. So it's a new automated workflow for submitting your employee expenses. Your employees can now email their travel or other receipts and use artificial intelligence to assist in coding them. And then machine learning remembers it. I kind of liken it to like AP bill automation, but on the expense side. So that's super cool. And then in Sage Intacct has elevated its time entry experience by improving activity card titles. This is for the Sage Intelligent Time, the time entry piece. So it now can generate the Copilot, Sage Copilot can now generate automatically the descriptions for you. It's currently in beta though right now. Automatically generate titles, yes. This is just the details on that. New time approvals experience for Sage Intelligent Time. Sage Intacct has redesigned the approvals page to enhance your experience, aligning it more closely with typical workflows in Sage Intacct. Additionally, they've introduced a new page for approving time entries by project, customer, or task. So now you can choose between two pages, approved timesheets or approved time entries. And here's an example of what that looks like. And then there's a new feature, recall timesheets. So now you can recall timesheets to correct mistakes quickly without needing to involve your manager or wait for the timesheet to be declined first. Simply recall your timesheet from the submitted status, make the necessary changes, and then resubmit. So you can see right here, there's a recall on the drop down there, and that you can then recall that. So you can say, oops, I forgot to put in that time for such and such. View Audit Trail and Sage Intelligent Time. So an audit trail is now available for timesheets in Sage Intelligent Time. You can access it on the My Timesheets and My Timesheet pages. Viewing the audit trail opens the Intacct audit trail in a pop-up window. So by the way, this feature is only available in the embedded version of Sage Intelligent Time. If you are using Sage Intelligent Time outside and you want to start using it inside, you just go into the time and expenses module and to configure, there's a checkbox there. You check and say, I want to use the embedded Sage Intelligent Time. And then it takes a little bit of time, but they email you and tell you when it's done to embed it in your experience. It's actually really cool. Jen, over to you.
Sure. All right, Conzo. So Conzo is a popular public housing property management software solution. And so now Sage Intacct has its own connector that you can just add to your Sage Intacct subscription to automate the synchronization of data between Conzo and Sage Intacct. So now that tenant billings and payments information will automatically create journal entries into the Sage Intacct environment to help you with your compliance requirements, including reporting to HUD, USDA, and others. And then really just, helping to improve that data efficiency and less manual dual, data entry. EMR Connect, electronic medical records, different types of programs can now be connected with Intacct. Same kind of thing to automate the patient billings and payments as journal entries into Sage Intacct. And so some different enhancements include setting up multiple email addresses to receive the notifications from Intacct, and then choosing whether or not to summarize the GL entries, et cetera. Some new enhancements there. And then forms and workflows. This is very cool. So now so forms and workflows currently works with the vendor. So it will create purchasing documents inside of Sage Intacct upon, approval. Now in the client side of things, there are some new enhancements to the order entry, workflow. So if you are needing to onboard clients, including e-signatures, the e-signatures of the contractual documents will then flow into Sage Intacct and set up order entry transactions. And also a client portal. Clients payments is not part of this just yet, paying bills, but the client experience is enhanced with a portal that they can log into to view their account changes, look at their documentations, even facilitating Q&A with you, et cetera. And then on the vendor contracting side of things, you can now use CharityAPI.org to check if a vendor is a 501c. And Sage Intacct Ministry Intelligence, another program that Sage Intacct has provided, has synchronization with Ministry Platform Touchpoint and now Rock RMS. And so the new enhancements include being able to distinguish the one-time gifts from recurring contributions so that the one-time gifts don't impact your sustaining giving metrics. And also now you'll just receive one email informing you of the results of the processing. So the number of successful givers, the list of failed givers, explanations as to why, the start time and the end time of processing will all be rolled into just one email. And then when you define a platform application menu in the platform services module, you can now select reports from your menu type, including additional advanced reports from the paid reporting tools, the ICRW, and the Interactive Visual Explorer, the IVE. And there are new fonts that are available for the printed Word templates. In Sage Intacct, they have that advanced CRM integration application, so their own Salesforce integration application. You can choose to sync accounts or contacts from Salesforce just once upon creation to improve your data accuracy. The integration also now works with the Salesforce Nonprofit Cloud, which is the replacement for the NPSP Nonprofit Success Pack. And then users of the original Sage CRM connector, Sage provides a nice data migration tool to streamline the migration process through a mass data synchronization. In the user interface, we've talked about this before, but the list enhancements, please, we encourage you to try it. I know the last release, we showed a little demo of the vendor list and how to enable that. The directions are below, how to enable that, but it allows you to personalize your list views while you work. You can add and move and resize columns. You can freeze columns on the screen. You can sort columns by the data that means the most to you, and then save those views for future use. And then these user interface changes, we'll just include this in the packet that we do send you, but just some different, updates that have occurred.
Thanks for running through those so quickly, Jen. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Thank you guys for attending. Keep in mind that Armanino, if you need additional training or you're help onboarding any client employees, Armanino Academy is here for you. And if you have any additional questions, reach out to Jeremy or Sean. And really appreciate you guys' attendance today.
Thanks.